Chương trình này được bảo trợ bởi
Family Joy, tổ ấm y tế của mọi gia đình, 714 898 0765.
Hi, welcome to the OC Health and Education Show on Little Saigon TV. I'm your host, Julie Yip. To us, OC stands for our community because we believe that our community is stronger when we come together. I'm glad that we can come together today to introduce to you again Larry Landauer, the Executive Director of Regional Center of Orange County. As you know, this is a bilingual English and Vietnamese program dedicated to educating, empowering, and inspiring our community. We thank you for joining us each Tuesday evening and on Wednesday morning on Little Saigon TV. Julie Yip kính chào quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV trong chương trình Kiến thức y khoa, gia đình và xã hội. Chương trình đây là chương trình OC Health and Education. Chương trình đây là chương trình song ngữ. Julie hy vọng mỗi tuần mình sẽ đem tới cho quý vị thông tin để cho quan trọng cho quý vị. Hôm nay Julie muốn giới thiệu cho quý vị một lần nữa Larry Landauer là Executive Director of the Regional Center of Orange County. Để nói về early start services and early screening. Larry, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Julie.
Now tell me a little bit about yourself for the audience who have not yet met you.
Larry Landauer, Executive Director of the Regional Center of Orange County. I got my start in social work basically many years ago now, actually about 1982. So the interest in developmental disabilities, I started seeing individuals from in high school in different schools and a little inquiry. And once I was in college, I noticed the School of Social Work had programs talking about developmental disabilities. As we know, in California, developmental disabilities are intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, autism, and conditions similar to intellectual disability. So it's serving the whole life spectrum from birth through death, basically. So my interest was clearly from a few individuals that touched my life, basically, and realizing there was a whole world, basically, of helping. And today, just about every family probably has some family member with some form of disability. And autism definitely just the prevalence just keeps increasing every single year for the last nearly 30 years. And in Orange County at the Regional Center, interestingly, we predict within another year or two that it will become the #1 diagnosis, which was intellectual disability for the previous 60 years now, almost. So that's the very interesting, my path going forward. I'm one of 5, 4 older sisters, and was raised to work very hard and always giving back. I was Cub Scouts, Webelos, Boy Scouts, to Eagle Scout, to Explorers. So always have had a passion for helping in every way possible. And now this job as Executive Director of the Regional Center with over 538 employees now allows us to do this almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, basically.
Well, Larry, thank you so much. You know, the first time you were here, we were more business. We were talking about your job titles, what is it that you do. I just love that this time that when you come back, we get more insight about why you do what you do and share that journey with the audience. Thưa quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV, một lần nữa Julie muốn giới thiệu quý vị đó là Larry Landauer, là Executive Director của Regional Center of Orange County. Larry muốn chia sẻ với quý vị đó là trong năm 82 thì Larry là làm social worker. Trong cái kinh nghiệm đó là Larry giúp rất nhiều người bị khuyết tật. Mà hiện tại đó là Larry là một người director cho Regional Center. Có 538 employee mà chú ý nhất là giúp cho mỗi người mà bị intellectual deficit, đó là chậm trí tuệ, bị tự kỷ và cũng bị cerebral palsy hay bệnh Down. Có rất nhiều cái kêu bằng là development disability để chậm phát triển. Thì Julie hy vọng hôm nay quý vị sẽ hiểu thêm về cái công việc của Larry, về tại sao Larry làm trong cái cộng đồng hôm nay. Larry, you also mentioned that, you know, that I share with the audience that you started as a social worker, but you also mentioned as growing up in a family of 5, that you have siblings and you were able to be active in the community. How did becoming a a person within, a large family impact your work and your understanding of the people that you serve, as well as being part of the Boy Scout?
Having 4 older sisters, you become very protective. So they would have different boyfriends and things like that. So interestingly, I was raised, in kind of old school, opening doors and being somewhat of a protector, basically, of family, sisters. And there was plenty of time for that because it seemed like there was a lot of boyfriends or boys interested in and so my father was busy and that made me busy. So I was a chip off the block, I guess he would have said in many ways. So I'm taking that passion now to the people with developmental disabilities. There's nothing greater than, we're going to talk about it today a lot, from little children to through the whole life of making sure that there's a thing called the Landauer Act that we follow, that allows the regional center systems to do what they do. And when you read that book, basically, it entitles every single person in the state of California with a developmental disability to receive the services that are needed related to their disability. I could not take that more seriously and have 538 employees that absolutely follow the mission as well. So we couldn't. You talk about needing purpose, having purpose. Right. This is a great, great purpose that we have.
Well, thank you, Larry, for doing that. And I don't understand how much time and effort it takes to manage 538 employees. Now, how many consumers do you reach, and how many people in Orange County with developmental disability does the Regional Center Orange County serve?
Yeah, we're just now almost at 26,000 individuals in Orange County that have the diagnoses that I mentioned earlier.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Larry, for sharing that information. Thưa quý vị, hôm nay Julie có thời gian nói chuyện với Larry Landauer, đó là Executive Director of Regional Center Orange County. Đây là một cái trung tâm phi lợi nhuận giúp cho mọi người mà chậm phát triển. Hiện tại đó là cái intellectual deficit, là chậm trí tuệ là primary diagnosis, mà Larry nói là trong tương lai, Larry nghĩ đó là tự kỷ là will be the primary diagnosis. Hiện tại đó là trong Regional Center có 28,000 consumer, là mấy trẻ em bị chậm phát triển với người lớn bị chậm phát triển. Trước khi mình làm cái interview, Larry có chia sẻ với Julie đó là khoảng 83% mấy trẻ em mà được early intervention là không có còn regional center nữa. Thì hôm nay sau quảng cáo, Julie sẽ nói thêm về cái lý do tại sao mình phải cho trẻ em học chương trình sớm. And then that means là 17% mấy trẻ em đó, mà mấy người lớn vẫn có cái khuyết tật mà vẫn còn cái chương trình của giúp đỡ của Regional Center trong hết cái cuộc đời của họ. So Regional Center giúp là cái bằng birth to death luôn, là the full lifespan. Larry, I was just saying that, the Regional Center helps a wide range of disabilities, but also a wide age of disabilities. Right. As we mentioned before, that you said that, with early intervention, that about 83% of the individuals or the children no longer needs regional service, which leaves that 17% will need lifelong support. So I think after the commercial break, we'll definitely have a chance to talk more about all the amazing services that Regional Center provides to the community. But before we go to commercial break, what does that take away for our community as far as accessing Regional Center services?
I think you see our website or calling 714-796-5100. Any suspicion whatsoever of a delay, developmental delay, something not quite sure about your child, your loved one, your grandchild, your niece or nephew. Very friendly group. It's an incredible process you'll get to talk with some really great experts about your concerns and see if how far we need to go or what services might be necessary.
Well, thank you so much, Larry. Thưa quý vị có muốn hiểu thêm về Regional Center, có cái website đó là RCOCGD.com, số điện thoại là 714-796-5100. Larry muốn khuyên quý vị, chừng nào quý vị quan tâm về con chậm phát triển, mà chừng nào cái người lớn trong gia đình mà bị chậm phát triển, bị tự kỷ hay bị chậm trí tuệ, bị Down syndrome, Vâng, chừng nào quý vị có câu hỏi gì thì nên liên lạc Regional Center of Orange County. Một lần nữa số điện thoại là 714 796 5100. Sau vòng quảng cáo, chúng tôi sẽ tiếp tục nói chuyện với Larry Landauer, Executive Director of Regional Center of Orange County. Cảm ơn quý vị.
Chương trình này được bảo trợ bởi
Family Joy, tổ ấm y tế của mọi gia đình, 714 898 0765.
Hi, welcome back to the OC Health and Education Show on Little Saigon TV. I'm here today with Larry Landauer, the Executive Director of the Regional Center of Orange County. Just before the commercial break, we had a little bit insight about who Larry is and why he does what he does. As he mentioned, he grew up in a very traditional upbringing, a very hard worker and very dedicated to protecting his family, but now lending itself to protecting the community and those with developmental disabilities. We're continuing this segment to talk about early intervention and the reason why it's so important for us to make sure that when we are concerned about our child's development, to contact the regional center about our concerns before the age of 3. Larry, thank you again for being here. I think it's very important that, we let parents know that early intervention is very important. I think a lot of times the doctors might say, let's wait and see. Or we might say, maybe they'll outgrow it.
Right.
But what you're telling us today is when we're concerned, there's professionals that can come to the house or there are clinics that they can go to address these matters early on.
Yes, it makes a big difference. Months in a child from birth through 3 months are a huge amount of time and so critical. And I know as a therapist. So just a 25% delay means the regional center is going to be case managing that case and assisting with some incredible services, and those are often primarily occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy. Those 3 services are the primary services that birth through 3 early start, and is a federal program. This is across all states, early start services, early intervention. And how important is it? We mentioned earlier, if your child has a 25% delay, and that's very, very small, so you may be wondering, maybe he'll outgrow it. Why take that chance? Make sure you give all children the greatest jump start they can. So we mentioned earlier, the kids that come through the regional center system, and at any given time, we have about 3,600 kiddos that we're serving from birth through 3 and managing early start services for. And so we mentioned earlier, 83% of those, because of those amazing services, get to what we call within normal limits. So that means they no longer need the regional center at age 3, and they go on to a typical school, basically. They're able to integrate into regular schooling. Nothing more important to parents, I think. Now, that means there's roughly 17% or so that are going to have a lifelong disability. And they have that diagnosis now that I had mentioned earlier, an intellectual disability, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, autism, or a condition similar to intellectual disability. And now we're going to be basically following that individual throughout their life, helping them with services. But again, the focus here is that those critical early intervention services, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy, do wonders for kids from birth through 3, and Julie knows better than anybody.
Well, it's a good thing that I understand the reason, because now I have to explain all of that in Vietnamese.
Sorry.
No, I've done this for about 25 years, so it's not too hard to do that. Thưa quý vị, hôm nay Julie muốn giới thiệu cho quý vị Larry Landauer là Executive Director. Julie là cũng có một cái trung tâm kêu là OC Autism Foundation trong thành phố Garden Grove. Trong 20 năm kinh nghiệm để ra làm về speech pathologist là âm ngữ trị liệu, thì Julie hiểu rất nhiều về cái công việc của Regional Center of Orange County. Trong khoảng cũng 15 năm đây, Julie có một cái trung tâm trong vườn cam của mình để cho giúp cộng đồng Việt Nam của mình, và đặc biệt là mấy trẻ em bị tự kỷ và chậm phát triển. Hôm nay Larry muốn nhấn mạnh cho quý vị đó là chừng nào trẻ em nào mà chậm phát triển, chỉ mà chậm mà nó gọi là 25% thôi, đó là chậm một chút thôi, thì mình phải nên liên lạc Regional Center để cho họ giúp. Hôm nay Larry nói với mình là hiện tại đó là cũng có 3.600 em bị đang học cái chương trình Early Start trong Regional Center. Mà Julie biết là có rất nhiều trẻ em khác mà chậm phát triển mà mình không có liên lạc Regional Center thì em đó cũng vẫn là bị gọi lifelong disability. Larry nói đó là trong 3.500 trẻ em đây mà học Early Start, khoảng 83% trẻ em lúc mà học speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy thì được thành là human within normal limits, là thành bình thường, thì không có bị chậm phát triển nữa. Về cái dây thần kinh bộ não của em thì nó thành bình thường lại. Thì đó là cái hy vọng của Julie hôm nay, đó là nhấn mạnh cho quý vị là lúc mà con mình đó là chậm phát triển, chậm nói chuyện, chậm đi bộ, mình phải liên lạc Regional Center. Cái số Regional Center là 714 796 5100. Số trực tiếp mà cho nó kêu bằng intake number là 714 796 5354. Một lần nữa 714 796 5354. And cái website là RCOCDD.com. Now, Larry, I get so excited about talking about Early Start because as a speech pathologist working in the community, and I think we've been in contract with Regional for about at least 15 years already. I can't believe it's been that long. But in the process, what I learned about is that as I work in the community and educate the community, I realized that teaching parents milestones that are a little bit modified helps parents understand when to bring the children in. So I usually say by 1 year old, I just need one word. By 15 months, I need 15 words. And then by 2 years old, I need about 200 words and 2-word combination. So I modify it such that is not exactly the developmental, but it's the minimum that we require as speech pathologists for these children to develop. And you said it best that early intervention is so important, and months means significantly as far as the developmental part of it. Because when a child comes to me, when Regional Center refers to me with a child that's 18 months, that's a year and a half, my goal as a speech pathologist to wire the brain back to normal and to be able to acquire more language after that is just only 15 words. That's all that it is. I just have to get 15 words, sitting still, repeating. But if they waited 6 months, and it's at 24 months, my goal is now 200 words. So we're jumping from 15 words to 200. And now they also have to combine these words into another dozen sentence combinations. So it makes my job significantly harder. So I'm always pushing the community to identify at 12 months, which is if your child's not saying one word by 1 year old, call the regional center. If by 1.5, they don't have about 15 words, call the regional center. But I think the challenge, Larry, is that when our families do go to the doctor or to the regional center, they don't know where to go first. What is your recommendation? Because we want them to understand what pair of last resort means.
I think might be a good time to bring up the flyers, because one of the complicated things is the pediatrician doesn't have a lot of time. Are they rushing through? Are they not too worried about a 25% delay? Is it hard to pick up if I'm only meeting with you for a few minutes? So the developmental screenings are kind of fun. I mean, they're basically fun. You go through the stations and they're going to check, they're going to do this whole quick assessment at a park, or, and we have these all the time. There's almost always at least one per month, somewhere in Orange County, most of the time pretty close to you. So it's an opportunity to take your child and have this screening done. And again, the critical services, we talk about how critical these are. These are fun services, though. Your relationship with your child is going to be so much better when you're doing speech therapy with Julie or any speech therapist, or the occupational therapy. It's often a family affair. Basically, the parents are involved. It can be in your house. It can be at a center. Really great experiences. So nothing to fear, nothing but good comes from these.
Well, thank you so much, Larry, for reminding us that, in addition to contacting the regional center or the doctor, there's also a screening process that makes it easier for families to access and throughout the community. So hopefully our audience can also see the flyer that's going to be shared. Hôm nay thì Julie muốn chia sẻ với quý vị, quý vị có trẻ em dưới 3 tuổi là Julie nói đó là tới 1 tuổi mà không có nói được một chữ, tới 1 tuổi rưỡi mà không có nói được 10 chữ hay 15 chữ, đến tới 2 tuổi mà trẻ em chưa biết nói 200 từ về ghép 2 chữ thành câu, thì lúc đó là mấy cái đó là kêu bằng developmental milestone, thì quý vị nên liên lạc Regional Center of Orange County. Một lần nữa là website là RCOCDD.com and số điện thoại là 714-796-5354. Larry cũng muốn chia sẻ với quý vị là cũng có là rất nhiều là screening ở trong thành phố. Mỗi các thành phố cũng có nhiều cái screening đây, để cho mình có coi có con mình dẫn trẻ em tới, mình xem con mình có chậm phát triển không. Là có rất nhiều cái station để cho có nhiều người specialist, người chuyên môn họ nói chuyện với con mình, họ khám một chút để cho mình coi mình có cần liên lạc bác sĩ, họ có cần xin thêm chương trình nữa thêm. Sau phần quảng cáo chúng tôi sẽ tiếp tục nói chuyện với Larry Landauer ở Regional Center of Orange County. Cảm ơn quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV.
Chương trình này được bảo trợ bởi
Family Joy, tổ ấm y tế của mọi gia đình. 714-898-0765.
Hi, welcome back to the OC Health and Education Show on Little Saigon TV. I'm your host, Julie Yip. We're going to continue our conversation with Larry Landauer, the Executive Director of the Regional Center of Orange County. Hôm nay mình vẫn tiếp tục nói chuyện với Larry Landauer, là Director của Regional Center of Orange County, nói về Early Start, chương trình để cho mấy trẻ em học sớm trước khi 3 tuổi. Cái hy vọng của Julie cho mấy trẻ em được học cái chương trình chậm nói, chậm phát triển tới 1 tuổi rưỡi là cũng khoảng 18 tháng. Và tới trước cũng 2 tuổi, cho nên tới 2 tuổi con mình không có biết nói 200 từ về ghép chữ thành câu, thì mình phải lo lắng, mình phải liên lạc Regional Center để cho họ giúp mình. Larry nói hôm nay đó là cái phần trăm đó là chỉ 25% chậm phát triển thôi, thì mình sẽ giúp được em. Larry, I think earlier you mentioned that the qualification for the regional center is a 25% delay. I remember before it was at 50%. Has that changed, or what are the different qualifications now?
Yeah. I think 2 years ago there was trailer bill language that went from 33%,
Okay.
a third delay, to 25% to make sure we were able to capture even more, because the program is tremendously successful. It does give kids a jump start and gets them off to a better start. So there's no question across the nation that the early intervention services have been successful, because I think it's been since 1988 or so, the early intervention program.
And I think in addition to that, I want to just emphasize that in addition to help parents access these, or children access these services, the Regional Center is so good at care coordination. Can you talk a little bit about what that means?
Yes, care coordination, or we're going to refer to it usually as case management. So we're going to help you with your insurance. Many insurances provide these services. If they don't, then the Regional Center will provide. One way or another, your child's going to get the services. Basically, we'll assist, because we're what's considered payer of last resort. The Regional Center helps you get all these services, manage all these services, the case managing. But we're supposed to get the insurance or whoever to pay for it if they're supposed to pay for it. If they don't pay for it, then the Regional Center pays for the service entirely. There is sometimes a copay, but if there's a hardship situation, those can be waived as well. It never should be worried about I don't have the money. That doesn't usually come into play. The kids getting the best start possible is the goal.
But you also help coordinate services to the school district after age 3, is that correct?
Right. So on those, all of the kids, we help with transition, basically, whether they're the ones that graduate out of the Regional Center system, the 83%, we're helping them with how they move on with school, and then even the ones that stay lifelong with us are now we're going to be carrying them. We're going to actually go to IEPs with the family if they invite us, individual educational plans. So from that point forward, when you have a lifelong disability, the regional center will be a part of your life, basically, for the duration. That service coordinator, social worker, will be there for you to call at any time and to run any kind of questions. We'll be there at individual educational plans with you, and we'll have our own what's called an individual program plan. Earlier, we didn't talk about it, but birth to 3, the social service coordinator is helping you with an individual family service plan, IFSP, individualized family service plan. But after age 3, that becomes an individual program plan. And basically, that's where we identify the services that are necessary and assist you in getting those services. So we annually will have that meeting with you, just like the schools annually have the individual educational plan.
Well, thank you, Larry, for explaining that. I think that's a lot of times, our families don't understand how to navigate the system.
Right.
But I'm glad that the regional center has service coordinators that can help the family. Thưa quý vị, hôm nay Julie muốn chia sẻ với quý vị cái chương trình của Regional Center of Orange County. Regional Center Orange County trước nhất là muốn làm the child find, là tìm mấy trẻ em nào chậm phát triển để cho em học cái chương trình speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. Mà ngoài về cái chương trình đó cũng có kêu bằng case management, care coordination. Thì Larry nói đó là cũng mỗi em mà học Regional Center, trong cái chương trình Regional Center thì cũng có một cái người worker giúp cho mình, hướng dẫn cho mình. Trước nhất là Larry nói là một cái chương trình nó kêu bằng là pair of last resort. Thì trước nhất mình cũng vẫn liên lạc Regional Center để cho mình có cái người worker giúp cho gia đình của mình tìm cái chương trình để học về cái health insurance, tới học chuyển qua học khu. Dưới 3 tuổi đó thì cái chương trình của Regional Center là miễn phí hết, là không có lo lắng về mình có nhiều tiền hay ít tiền, đứa nào cũng được học, trẻ em nào cũng được học cái Regional Center dưới 3 tuổi. Sau phần qua 3 tuổi thì Regional Center cũng có thể tới tham dự cái chương trình của IEP. Mà chừng nào con của mình vẫn tiếp tục còn học Regional Center thì Regional Center vẫn tiếp tục có rất nhiều cái chương trình dưới 3 tuổi. Nó có cái chương trình, có cái program nó kêu bằng là Individual Family Service Plan, là mỗi năm Regional Center Worker sẽ tới nhà mình, hợp với mình và nói theo dõi với mình và con mình phát triển làm sao. Chừng nào sau 3 tuổi con mình vẫn còn tiếp tục cái sự giúp đỡ đó thì nó có cái chương trình nó kêu bằng là IPP, đó là vẫn nó kêu bằng Individual Program Plan, để cho mình sắp xếp chương trình thêm nữa. Ngoài cái 3 cái chương trình đó, trẻ em mình còn cái chương trình gì đó thì Regional Center sẽ chia sẻ với quý vị, giúp cho quý vị thêm. Julie thấy là cái chương trình của Regional Center rất là quan trọng, mà thấy tiếc là nhiều người Việt Nam của mình á không có sử dụng về áp dụng cái chương trình của Regional Center, không có ghi danh cho cái chương trình đây. Thì nào quý vị cần sự giúp đỡ của Julie về trung tâm của OC Autism, số điện thoại của OC Autism là 714 799 3030. Một lần nữa là 714 799 3030. Website là ocautism.com. I was just sharing with them that if they need to speak to me directly and to understand what regional is, they can definitely come to our office, because we have a community center to help specifically Vietnamese Americans who need to access these services, Larry.
Exactly.
I know that, there are a lot of stigmas involved in accessing special services or special education services. Within the Vietnamese community, we only have 2 words. We've got normal and the extreme word crazy. So we don't have anything in between. It's very black and white, Larry. So when you have a language or a culture that only has those 2 extremes, by accepting that your child even has just a 25% delay, is accepting that unfortunately, the word is crazy.
Wow.
And I think that's why if you understand the culture of our community and the stigma, you understand why Vietnamese Americans oftentimes do not access these services. Those of us who are in the medical field, in the educational field, a lot of us understand in the program and understand and have the value in it. But some of our community members don't understand that because of the linguistic aspect and the stigma involved. What are some of the things that you see that, or some of the community that are having a hard time accessing it when we have like the POS disparities or things like that? Because we know Asian Americans, Latino Americans, Black Americans, those are some of the communities that's having a harder time accessing.
Yeah, I think one of the ways we try to help with that barrier the best we can is Of my 578 employees, basically 380 service coordinators, social workers, close to 80% are bilingual in the, so you most likely, whatever language you speak, primarily, for sure, Vietnamese, Spanish, you will have a service coordinator that speaks that language and most likely is within that culture. That should be helpful, having a member of your culture, basically. The other thing is giving as much information as we possibly can, that this is not, to the best we can, the extreme, that this is not something to be ashamed of in waiting, but I know culturally that is a challenge. But you're going to have a very good service coordinator, social worker that's going to assist you in your language, walk you through a lot of this stuff.
Thank you, Larry. Because, a lot of times when I speak to our Vietnamese American community, I always say, if you're willing to accept this service early on, it'll help him on the long term. As you mentioned, early intervention yields so much success. We're talking about 83%. We don't want our children to be that 13% of lifelong disability. And the goal for all of us is to help them become independent, help them become employable, and definitely integrate within the community. Thưa quý vị, sau phần quảng cáo chúng tôi sẽ tiếp tục nói chuyện với Larry Landauer. Cái chương trình của Regional Center là hy vọng để có thể giúp cho quý vị tìm rất nhiều chương trình của insurance, của school district mà thêm dưới 3 tuổi cũng có nhiều chương trình speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy mà sau 3 tuổi vẫn cũng tiếp tục giúp cho quý vị trong cái luật là cái bằng Landauer Act. Sau vòng quảng cáo chúng tôi sẽ tiếp tục nói chuyện với Larry Landauer là Executive Director ở Regional Center of Orange County. Cảm ơn quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV.
Chương trình này được bảo trợ bởi
Family Joy, tổ ấm y tế của mọi gia đình, 714 898 0765.
Hi, welcome back to the OC Health and Education Show on Little Saigon TV. Today we're talking about the topic that's very near and dear to my heart, early intervention. I've been a speech pathologist for 25 years, been contracted with Regional for the last 15 years, and such an honor to be able to have the trust of the community to dispel some of those myths about accessing services. I definitely see a change in the Vietnamese community for embracing the services and asking for services and helping their community. I think I see a lot of people say, oh, my neighbor told me to call you, or my neighbor, or my grandpa, or I met somebody at the church. So I definitely feel that there is a change in how our Vietnamese or Asian community is perceiving early intervention services and the services that are available to people with disabilities. I want to ask you, Larry, that, in addition to all the amazing things we do at 0 birth to 3, what happens after age 3?
Yeah, we're there through the school years. The school years often for a person with a developmental disability can go through age 22. We do see quite a few individuals with autism able to fully graduate at age 18, but typically you're able to get special education services through age 22. So we're assisting with what's called respite, sometimes daycare, applied behavior analysis, ABA. So there's a number of things that we might be assisting with the family in how do we try to keep things as calm as possible in the family home if you're having any kind of challenges. But the school's doing a lot. But at age 22 or when the person is now out of school, the regional center is maybe the biggest resource to families at that point. We're going to assist them in finding employment, pre-vocational, getting jobs. I know my board of directors, we celebrate at every board meeting at least 5 individuals that have had like 40 years on the job, 38 years on the job. And we've been doing that now for a couple of years, and now we're down to people with like 23 years on the job. Excellent employees, many of the people that we serve. So focusing and helping individuals. They used to go to school for 6 hours a day. Now we try to make sure they're going to work or have a pre-vocational type of program for about 6 hours a day as they're finding employment. Huge focus on competitively and integrated employment. So a job just like you and I get, we're able to get because our individual is going to have a job coach assist them. So they're not there completely alone, though some do excellently all by themselves, just like you or I. But also, if necessary, they have the services of a job coach. So that's kind of the employment side. Lots and everything you can think of, some incredible jobs being done by those we serve. And then the other things we're assisting with is they might see their brothers and sisters all moving out of the home, getting apartments, and moving on with their lives that way, and they want that too. We assist the family in that as well. So sometimes that might be a group home, sometimes that might be their own apartment, sometimes that might be a foster family that wants to take an adult individual into their home.
So you weren't kidding when you say that Regional Center provides lifespan services.
Absolutely.
So from birth till 3 is early intervention. From 3 to 22 is school district support, and then 22 just throughout the adulthood. There's so many other services.
Yes.
I'm going to try to recap that for our community. Thưa quý vị nghe đó là from Regional Center of Orange County, Executive Director đó là Larry Landauer, và chương trình của Regional Center có rất nhiều chương trình để giúp cho quý vị. Julie hy vọng hôm nay khi quý vị xem chương trình, mình có trẻ em nào có bị tự kỷ, bị chậm phát triển, bị bệnh Down syndrome, hay bệnh cerebral palsy, hay epilepsy. Rất nhiều cái chương trình nó kêu bằng developmental delay, Regional Center sẽ có thể giúp đỡ được. Ở dưới 3 tuổi đó là nó không phải là income based, là không phải là mình có nhiều tiền hay ít tiền không mới được. Bất cứ em nào cần học cũng được ghi danh cho cái Regional Center. Mà sau cái chương trình 3 tuổi là mình nói đó là khoảng 17% của consumer của Regional Center nó kêu bằng là lifelong disability. Thì Larry nói đó là từ 3 tuổi tới 22 tuổi là Regional Center sẽ giúp cho quý vị với School District, đó là cái phần IEP, để cho với thêm cái chương trình giống như họ Larry nói là respite care, là có gửi người nào tới nhà giữ trẻ em cho mình để cho mình có dư thời gian mình làm việc trong nhà. Thêm nữa có day care, là giống như mình có thể mình gửi em lớn để tới cái chỗ trung tâm, cái cơ quan nào để cho giữ cho em trong mấy tiếng đồng hồ cho mình. Ví dụ là 8 giờ tới 5 giờ, 8 giờ tới 3 giờ, 22 giờ. Mỗi gia đình có cái need nó khác biệt chút. Thêm nữa cũng vẫn có ABA là nhỏ tới lớn vẫn được ABA. Đó là cái chương trình để cho mình chỉnh hành vi của em mà để tạo ra skills development. So Larry nói đó là cái chương trình của Regional Center có rất nhiều chương trình giúp cho quý vị. Tại chương trình của học khu là từ 3 tuổi tới 22 tuổi. Regional Center sẽ vẫn tiếp tục để cho mình có therapy ngoài cái school district. Sau 22 tuổi thì cũng có là job coaching, là từ nào mình muốn có người nào kèm con mình để cho tìm công việc làm và được có kỹ năng để cho tạo cái kỹ năng cho làm việc á, thì đó là cái bằng job coach. Cũng có là housing support, giống như mình thấy đó là từ nào một trẻ em của mình đi đại học, cái em mà khuyết tật cũng vẫn muốn thay đổi cái môi trường thì cũng có là housing support. Thì có thể em ở group home, có thể em có được đi foster family, đó là cái người gia đình nào mà có khả năng và có kinh nghiệm đã giúp cho mấy người khuyết tật cho em ở nhà riêng, mà thì bố mẹ vẫn cũng được thăm, mà em đó được cái tự do về tự lập chút, mà không phải là tự làm hết, mà Regional Center sẽ giúp đỡ. You know, it's so exciting because, you know, when you talk about housing and job coaching, what we're really trying to do is making sure that each individual with disability still has the dignity and the support to be an integrated community member. I know when you talk about employment, and one of the things that OC Autism does, and our focus is about employment, our 3 pillars are educate, empower, and employ. So we know that in the next 10 years or even less, that 500,000 children with disabilities are going to become adults with disability.
Right.
And we know that the research shows that the large majority of these individuals will probably not go to college or 4-year university. The large majority will not be able to get a job, and those who do get a job have a hard time keeping the job, Larry. Right. So what is the regional doing to help with this influx of individuals with developmental delays that are children in the school district that are soon to become adults, because I think that's going to be more work for you and your team.
Yeah, we're already experiencing some challenges with that. And when you see in the papers and you see in the news the workforce shortage, that's hitting our industry too. So some of our individuals that need one-on-one types of job coaching, one-on-one services, it's harder and harder to find those services. If they only need one staff person and 3 people that we serve on a job, that's a little easier because one person can now serve 3 people. So that's a little easier. For like respite, we're able to hire your family members. So you might be paying your aunt, your uncle, or somebody. We would be able to pay that person basically for the respite service. Families, it can be a little higher energy. You know, your typical adult kids are gonna kind of fly the nest, or they don't need any attention. If you have a developmental disability, you're going to need attention.
Right.
So we need you to get some breaks. We need you to get some rest, basically. And so we're there. That's what respite is, and sometimes it can even go a little beyond that to what we call like in-home support services and personal assistance types of services. A little more assistance. Because as we know, the parents are getting older. So because some of the folks, if we've been doing this for 60 years, some of them lose their parents, and we're now the only thing with some extended family guiding us, sometimes from another state. We're serving that individual. So that's when you get to the far other side of the lifelong, what family is left? Some of them outlive their entire family in some cases.
Well, Larry, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come here. Thank you for supporting all our work in the community, but more importantly, to make sure that our community knows that the Regional Center is here to support the family, to guide the family, and to help them navigate this difficult service and the programming. All that you do in the community is well respected. We thank you and your staff for the amazing work that you do. I would love to have you come back and talk about, you know, that other far end of the spectrum that most of the time people don't talk about.
Right.
As we close the program, what is the last words you have to say to our audience as they're watching today?
Well, I want to thank the station, because one of the missions that we have is to find every individual that has a developmental, so we can give them the best life possible, from early start right through the whole lifelong. So thank you for letting us get the word out. And if there's any questions, please come to our website or give us a call. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Larry. Julie cảm ơn quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV đã theo dõi chương trình Kiến thức y khoa gia đình và xã hội. Julie hy vọng rằng là quý vị có thời gian lên website đó là RCOCDD.com, and số điện thoại của Regional Center là 714-796-5100. Hôm nay Julie chia sẻ với quý vị chương trình của Regional Center. Hy vọng quý vị sẽ sử dụng và áp dụng cái chương trình của Regional Center để giúp cho gia đình của mình, giúp trẻ em của mình, và chúc quý vị rất nhiều sức khỏe và may mắn. Cảm ơn quý vị.